the intern and the supporting basketball.
Call the community services meeting to order at
A
2:08.
bunch of other people got to sign, right?
Curtis, could you do us our invocation for us?
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Be with us, Lord, as we go through this committee meeting today. Be with all the visitors. We ask for wisdom, understanding, Lord, and just be with us as we go through the rest of this day. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Shelley, can you roll call?
Sir, Dick Way,
Here.
Harley Buzzard,
Here.
Jack Baker,
Here.
Joe Bird, Julia Coates, Jody Fishinghawk, here, Janelle Fulbright, Don Garvin, Frankie Hargis,
Present.
Hannah Glory Jordan,
Present.
Lee Keener, Curtis Snell,
Here.
Janice Taylor, here, David Thornton,
Here.
Victoria Vasquez,
Honey.
David Walkenstick, Eric Allen Watt. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd like to ask for approval of minutes.
Make a motion to be approved.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's approved. Reports, Barbara Foreman.
Amen.
Good afternoon, Council.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You have our report. Do you have any questions?
Any questions? Lee Keener.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hi, Barb.
Hi.
It's on page 11 on our report, Office of Child Support. I'm sure it's the same page number on yours.
My page 11 is Cherokee first. It's not that, but you want to look at child support?
Yes.
Just a second.
It's right after Child Care and Child Development.
Office of Child Support.
Okay. Let's see, in 2015, the amount distributed is 209 right now, and that's over 4 quarters, is that right? Or- I didn't know what that,
No, that's the yearly.
okay. So is that greater, will be greater or lesser than 2014?
Oh, it would be greater.
Greater, much greater, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure on that. And I think that was all the questions I had. Oh, I did have one more.
Okay.
On the utilities, I don't know if you call them a voucher or what, but could you kind of give me the policy of what that would be?
Okay, on the utilities, when someone is needing assistance with utilities, we have some programs that can assist with cutoff notices. But if you have, tribal members that you know, or they have voiced to you that they're going to be in trouble, they don't have a cutoff yet, but at some point it may happen. You just need to go ahead and refer those people to us, because as soon as you send us referrals, we have an advocate talk to the client and assess their situation. Because sometimes, you may have money to pay, you're going to be in trouble with your rent, and we have a program, that can help you pay rent or utilities. So it's kind of vice versa on that, but the best thing to do is just refer them
Okay.
and let us assess them.
And that's what I've been doing, and I appreciate your department's responsiveness
Thank you.
to that. I know there were some issues before Christmas that we were working on very hard before everyone closed for the holidays, so that's very much appreciated. And do you know if there's like 3 different programs, or is there more than
Gosh,
that?
we have a ton of them.
Ton of them?
Need the list? Let me see.
And there's multiple ways to help, but
Because we have like the emergency assistance too, and that's on like burnouts, and because we have so many different, crises.
right.
We have the emergency assistance, which assists with burnouts and disasters. We have, we have the elders in need to help with utilities. We have the LIHEAP. and that's all seasons of LIHEAP. We have the NAHASA funds that we can help with sometimes, the transitional residential and for the elders. So we have a lot of different ones that we can look at, a lot of different programs.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Barbara.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Kara?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Who's the Rogers County Elder Advocate now?
I believe it is, right now it's Shelley Standridge, I believe is her name.
And could you get us her complete contact information by email?
Yes.
And I assume Janice and also Councilman Lay, besides, we all
Okay.
have Rogers County, so,
Could you repeat her name, please?
Shelley Standridge,
thank you.
you're welcome.
Curtis?
Hey Barbara, do we still have wood stoves for the elderly people, or for the
Well,
backwards?
I don't know if we have any at this point in storage, but if you have someone that's in need, just, send that information to me and let's assess them and see if we can go ahead and help them. It's really dependent on the need. We've been thankful for administration and for you, council, to give us, the funds that we have to help people. But I think that we could probably help them if they need it. It's just depending.
Still, pardon me,
I don't know if we
giving
keep
out
them in
the
storage, I
pellet
guess is what I'm trying to say. I don't know if we can take it right out, but we could maybe, purchase one if they are in need.
stove? Well, this guy told me, said, it's really hard to cut them pellets.
Oh, okay, so he has one of the pellet stoves in here. Just give me his name, Curtis, and I'll try to help him.
I'll tell him Barbara's got you a big nice one.
Should bring it right out tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Any other questions? Thank you. Good report, Mark.
Thank you, council.
Ron Qualls, hello.
Hello. It's a fine day.
Yes, it is.
I got a couple things I want to mention, and I'm going to let some of the other folks talk if they need to. This may be the first time that during the first quarter of the new year, the rehab has completed 120 rehabs. Emergency type stuff. That's different. The other thing I wanted to mention is, and I don't know how many of the council are or have been involved with what we deal with from time to time as Section 3. And the good news about Section 3 is, it's a process that historically we had to provide assistance to a non-Indian, low-income company or an individual who wants to do rehab work for us. And we had to come up with some type of a preference that we would give to that individual, and we actually had to have, we had responsibility for training the non-Indian individual or company. And we now don't have to do that, thank goodness. That was a nightmare. For those of us that were involved with it, it was a real nightmare. And now that we have, and have had, I have found out here at the Cherokee Nation, preference and employment. Some of you may not know, but preference, a Cherokee preference for employment is technically new here. And a Cherokee preference in contracting with our contractors is relatively new here, even though it's been on the books for a while. We couldn't do those two things until very recently. Anyway, that's past us. That's past now, and we can get on with the business of contracting with contractors that are Cherokee or otherwise, without having to deal with the Section 3 fiascos that we have been dealing with in the past year. So I'm glad that's over. I'm glad that's over. It's really important, and it's good for us that that is over. HUD now is going to do a training on Section 3 after we have been able to deal with it over these years, and it doesn't really apply to us anymore. Now they're going to do training. I wish they could have done that like 3 years ago. It would have been a big help to us. But anyway, I'd say that, and if there's any questions about that, I'd be glad to address them.
Hey, Ron,
Yes.
on the emergency renovations, how many jobs are we behind on right now?
I guess it would depend on your definition of behind.
Or uncompleted, or we haven't contracted them out yet? A couple of the people that I emailed you or talked to you about, they sent someone out there to assess it, and the only thing they were needing was to bid it out, and we're going on a couple of months now, and I know the issue is there's not enough tarot vendors to get all these jobs done. So, have we found any solution in that? Or?
That our contractors that historically bid on our jobs have multiple contracts that they're working on.
So are we
let me see if Pruitt has the list of the numbers. I don't have the list.
I don't have it with me. I don't have the list of how many jobs each contractor has.
Well, I know.
Estimate?
Yeah, I know. It gives an estimate. I know last time we talked, we was really far behind, and we had talked about, is there some way we could help you as a council to get caught up? And I'm just curious where we're at, number, just ballpark. I mean, are we caught up, or are we 1,000 jobs behind? What are we?
Wow. We're taking in approximately 80 approved applications per month. And we're completing 40 or 50 jobs per month, so we're behind.
Okay. So is it because we just don't, there's just not enough contractors out there?
That's it. Need more contractors. And you know, I'll just tell you guys, some of these jobs, a big part of these jobs are bid out on what's called Indian preference. Meaning most every one of them will go to Indians, but it allows for a non-Indian to bid. But I don't think we're getting any non-Indians bidding. If we do, it's a few.
But we're not getting we're not getting a good, we're not getting all of our numbers caught up being all Indian.
Oh no, we're not going to make it that way.
We're not getting the job done, is what I'm saying. So I think
Yeah,
that's all I have.
You know, when we tell a family, you know, we have bid out your house, and they really expect something to happen then quite soon. But just because we bid it doesn't mean it was awarded.
Sure.
Maybe we didn't get any bids on that particular job, and that is very, very frustrating. It's very frustrating because we tell them, you know, it's been bid, then we have to tell them, well, we didn't get any bids. You know, we rebid it again, and that's very frustrating.
I understand.
It's for us as well as the families.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate y'all's effort and trying to get it all caught up. You can only do what you can do.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Chair.
Chief?
Dave, if we're having 80 completed applications, then we're only doing 40 a month. That is going to get us behind.
We're behind now.
Now, can we do anything from the council that would expedite the process? Once the application is completed, goes to you guys' department, are we not expediting this process, or is it too much bureaucracy to do the paperwork? I mean, where are we getting help up here other than needing more contractors?
I think that's the biggest problem we have. His guys, ladies, are processing the applications. They're getting completed applications. They get the completed application, they send it to the construction part of the rehab department. They do a cost estimate. then they take the cost estimate, and then they're gonna send it down to Shelley's, it's not called Shelley's Group. but Purchasing, and, you know, they'll review it, and they'll put it on the website and bid it for a week or 3 days or whatever it might be, and we just don't get any bids. Or we get a bid from someone that already has 12 projects, 12 contracts, and, you know, and so that delays it. If we award it, then it's going to delay it.
You know, I really appreciate the fact that we're utilizing Indian preference, Cherokee preference. But if there's not enough Cherokee Indian preference out there to do these projects, then you have to go to the next level. These people that need the homes, I really don't know if they care that much, whether when they're cold or they're hot, whether a tribal member actually built it or not. They're just wanting comfort. I mean, would you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, because some of these are elderly people that really need some assistance. So I know you guys are doing what you can. We appreciate you. But if there's anything we can do from our end, just let us know, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Write that down.
David?
Ron, there's something I hadn't been able to understand for years. And my problem, since we have 15 districts in Cherokee Nation, and everything that I see out of the Housing Authority and out of the three boroughs comes out by county. I have portion of 2 counties, and I don't know what's going on there. And I can't understand why these things can't be broke down in districts instead of by counties. Is there any problem? I mean, I guess it would take some work to do that, but unless it's a federal reg that you can't do that, then I'd like to know.
So, I may not be understanding, so.
Okay, I've got District 5, Janelle's got 6. Don has 4, and I don't know what's going on in my district as far as houses being built or renovated or completed. It just says Sequoyah County or Muskogee County. And that doesn't really give me a sense of what's happening. And I'd sure like to have a sense of what's happening. I don't know why it can't be broke down by districts.
I guess we have very distinct lines of each district, which encompasses more than one county from time to time. So instead of, what you're wanting, or talking about is, instead of just doing this county, this county, this county,
You have
if
4
Sequoyah-
counties.
if Sequoyah County and part of Muskogee County and part of some other county is the district,
I'm
you'd
just-
like to combine those. What do you
But
think?
just put the districts down.
We could add that to our application and ask them what district they were in. Reckon they surely know what district they're in, right?
No.
The applicants.
No, not,
Well, the thing about it is you've got the address.
well, we need, if we have a good map, we'll try it. A good map, a very good, big map that has the very distinct lines of what the districts are, that would help us.
We've got them. Geo Davis got them.
Okay. We'll try it. You want
I
to,
can't understand why it can't be done, in this day and time. And I don't know about these other council people, they may not really care what's going on in their district or in somebody else's district, but I do.
who set those districts up in?
We do.
Really, that's what I want to know.
I'll take credit for some of that.
I tell you what, we'll try yours as the guinea pig and see what we can come up with. We should do it.
And I think one of the things about districts is sometimes the districts of the departments are far and away different than the districts of elected officials. That's one thing that I've run into, David, that when I say District 12 and they say we don't have a District 12, we've got only 4 districts, let's say in roads or in housing or something like that. It's just, that's one of the problems I run into trying to figure out who's getting help in my district.
Maybe I'll think about it different. When we put in 15 districts, that's the Cherokee Nation. Each one of you serve in one of those districts.
Yep.
Or multiple.
All this work that's been done, where's it been done at in those districts?
Well, and that's
I
something that,
mean, if we accept the Cherokee Nation at large, well, let's just go the whole nation.
Yeah.
You know, I can't understand why it can't be with all this geodata and all these addresses that we have. I can't understand it. Somebody explain it to me, that you can't go on one side of a line or on the other side of the line. Why can't you go, if you can do it for a county
Yep.
and go one side of the line and the other side, there's no reason you can't do it for a district.
it's my understanding they can find anybody's house, they can pinpoint that house at geodata.
Anybody can if they go up there.
Google Maps.
Anyways, I'm sorry, I've lost my track. I got Janelle and then Tanya.
15
Janelle?
Okay, thank you. I sent both of you gentlemen a quite lengthy email, and to the best of my knowledge, neither one of you responded. I took a full day to go tour this home. I'm sure it was the exception rather than the rule. I have 6 pages of the homeowner's complaints here, but I shortened it down and tried to figure out what the root of the problem was. And I came up with a conclusion. The problem was the location. It should never have been approved to begin with. There's no way to rectify it now. This house is in a very unusual location. As I said in my email, the overall appearance of the home, this was a replacement home, was very nice, except with a few exceptions, the interior. It's the location of the house, the driveway, where it's sitting on the edge of a steep mountain cliff. There's water there standing in the backyards. I suggested maybe put in some French drains. If anybody responded to my email as a courtesy, I would have really have appreciated it, but nobody did. But several of the counselors did and told me they appreciated me going out there and looking at it. And no, these people were not related to me. I never met them before. They came to my house and stayed a couple of hours. They were very upset because the contractor would never respond to them, and he came and was supposed to start in April. They came back a month and a half later, put out some stakes, came back another month and a half later, finally began, and this has been going on since April, and the house was to be approved last week. And the contract calls for 15 feet in the backyard, and there's only 9 because it's backed up to like a steep mountain cliff, and there's no way to, either it should have been bulldozed off, made bigger, or what. And then the problem in the driveway is so steep you can't pull in. And me just saying this, you'd think, well, they could just pull further around out in the yard and make a loop and pull in. They can't. The entrance to the house is a very narrow little road bordered by a 6-foot drop-off retainer wall. There's no way to swing your vehicle out and pull into their driveway. I don't know the answers. I just hope we don't make this mistake again. But as common courtesy to a counselor, I would appreciate somebody responding to me.
I thought I did respond to you. I responded to the chief and everybody with your email.
Well, I didn't see any response. I apologize to you if you did respond.
I went out the next day. I had an appointment with the homeowner. The heavy equipment operators were out there today. We were going to pour him a parking pad, and he declined it. And all he wanted was sidewalks to the porches. The homeowner, or the inspector, and the homeowner were the ones that decided where to put the home in the beginning, where it's so close to that hill. And I agree, it shouldn't have been built there. We should have demoed his old house and put it back in the same spot. But how homes go, so.
I know, this is all after the fact, but I did go up there and spent the biggest part of the day touring the house, and it is in Sequoyah County. No, it's not in my district, but Councilor Thornton was busy, and he appreciated me and told me he thought I did a good job inspecting the house and giving an overall analysis about it. And anybody would be happy to have a home like that. It's quite nice on the inside, except there's a little goof up on the tile in the living room. And after they brought it out to their attention, well, they did a better job in the bedrooms. But this all got off to a bad start because they used the homeowner's electricity, doubled his bill, used his water, doubled his bill. When they were digging a septic line, they broke into the natural gas, caused his natural gas to go up. Nobody offered to reimburse them in any way, according to them.
I
That's
did.
my story.
I did, and he had already paid the bills and didn't want reimbursed for it.
Well, they didn't tell me that. I'm just telling you as it was reported to me, and I put it in the email, and I couldn't find where you responded to me. So we'll talk about it offline, but I just felt bad for the people, for them to get a nice new home because it's all what they had been living in. But that was just a bad spot for a house.
Yeah, I agree. It was.
That's all I have to say.
Good. Thank you, Janelle. Tina?
Ron, from this point forward, when your people take applications, couldn't you just have your people right then identify what district people live in? I mean, other than a few boundary lines between the districts, it ought to be pretty obvious where the work is contemplating being done. You don't have to run, 1,000 addresses to geodata. I mean, a lot of this work, at least in the district that I'm in, isn't anywhere close to the boundary line. So it's easy for me to see it's in the district I represent, or the district that Joe represents, or the district that David represents. Can your folks, on the initial application process, not identify what district it's in?
I think we can.
Okay, so we could start that now. And then could we not go back on all of our pending work? And I don't want Mr. Thornton's to just be the guinea pig. I want it to be identified by the district I represent too, and I'm sure everybody sitting here would like the same thing. So when you're working up Mr. Thornton's, you work up the other 14 districts too. So next month, you come with a report that gives us all 15 broke down by 15 districts. I don't see that there's any federal prohibition against that. You can still call it a county on your records if you want to, but we're just asking for a little more detail. I'd like to go a little further. I'd like to know the finished products where they've been placed for, let's say, the last 2 years. And I don't think, other than a few where they're close to a boundary line, from one district to another, it shouldn't be a problem. You can probably readily go through there and pretty well figure out what district your finished jobs go into and give us a breakdown.
Okay, so an example,
If it's at Halbert, it's in the district I represent. I mean, that's, all Halbert addresses are right now in the district that I represent. So that shouldn't be hard to figure out. If it's a Halbert address, it goes in District 1.
so any others that wouldn't be, I mean, or there has to be a dividing line so that we know this is Mr. Walking Stick, or we know Hulbert, is District 1, but we just have to have a very detailed, to know where the other districts are, which we
Well,
don't.
you could go get you a voter election application and look on the back of it. I mean, it's not like there's not thousands of them out there. I mean, my gosh, I cannot believe somebody would come in front of us and say they can't find where our districts are at. I'm sorry, Ron, but that's a
No one
that's
has,
a
no
little
one has, no
irritating.
one has said that. I think we can, we just
Why
need
don't
to,
you have your department go get you a map?
we will.
Okay, it's not that hard. Go over to Geodata if you can't find any other place to do it. And I would defer to you.
Ron, on the election commission website, you can type the address in, pinpoint where the house, what district it's in. That's
Okay, cool.
We took that off.
They took it off.
Oh, they did? Oh, never mind.
Put it back on.
Huh?
Put it back.
Well, you
Well-
shouldn't even have to go there.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
can't believe we have a department that will
Yeah.
come in front of us and say they don't know where our districts are. I'm sorry, that's just,
Trying to stay-
Happens all the time.
Well, but it shouldn't.
I agree.
Can you do that for us next month?
We certainly will work really hard to do that. Next month would be
February 17th.
a group of houses, though, that have already been in the processing, and so we can go back and figure out where those are. Sure. This report will be districts over here instead of county. Okay?
Well, I don't care if it's county or I think what I perceive Mr. Thornton wants is districts. If they need county for their records, that's their deal, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a fair request that you've made, and it shouldn't be that hard to do it.
Well, it shouldn't be. There's gonna be places, Sallisaw in my district, I've got part of Sallisaw, and Marble City, but it's separated by a highway.
Well, the three of us have got Tahlequah, but we can tell you, I mean, the roads are pretty easy to follow, so.
And you have done some rehabs and houses and replacements in my district that are really nice. I know too that you just finished here in this last 6 months, but I don't know anything else, you know, and the only reason I know them because I was in on it, you know, trying to help them.
Yeah.
But the thing is, even if you had a list of addresses of everybody, and you could see the addresses, you could see where they lived, I'd know just about where they lived. Also, if they come out with an address in Marble City, I mean, it'd be pretty easy. But I don't know, it looks like to me you could break it down by district. I just can't understand why it can't be. And the Housing Authority also, they need to break it down by districts. That's the way I look. Because when they come to me and say, well, we're building 54 houses in Sequoia County and 5's already completed, I don't know anything about the 5 that's completed or where they're at. You know, and where the other ones are at. So I'd like to know that type of thing, you know.
Okey-doke. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I still think that there's an opportunity on the replacement home issues, and I know we've been working through, I don't want to name names on record, but a particular individual. So I know there's a written policy now, which is good, and that helps. But do we?
They do, yeah.
We need to pause for a moment, or?
Good, you go.
I don't know, Mr. Chairman, do we have a phone rule?
They don't, no, they shouldn't be
We
needing
did.
a permit, but there shouldn't be a policy. that
We
needs to
probably do. but
Okay,
let's
I'll let you
him-
have that discussion then.
Let's let him go ahead
So,
and clear this.
I appreciate the candor that we're working together through the constituent issues. But if there's a way maybe to counsel these folks up front, and I know you have a huge amount of workload, and they.
Point of order, Chair. Get off your phone, Ron, and answer her question. Pay attention to her.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you,
so,
thank you. Appreciate it.
So I think that there's an opportunity, because I think that the person here is frustrated, maybe because we didn't outline expectations. We didn't evaluate maybe that person's home. I don't know. I'm just laying out, trying to work through how can we solve this going forward? Because we've taken up additional staff time probably in this particular situation because we keep coming back and revisiting the issue. So I don't know if there's a way we could counsel them up front and have an evaluation, both a historical evaluation of what the tribe has already done, you know, for this home or the homeowner, and I don't recall the regs and policies around the different, because I know over time HUD changes things or we change policies, and so a historical reflection may not be comparing apples to apples, maybe apples to oranges, for example. But I think the decision-making around a rehab versus a replacement seems to be whatever we set that line in the sand on the financial commitment.
Right.
And I just think there's more opportunity there, and I don't know if next month we could come back with maybe just an overview for the whole council on what that decision-making looks like when it becomes a rehab versus a replacement home. Because I understand we're 3 years out for any new replacement home decision, is that correct, on funding? We already know, projected on the existing funding we have, that if somebody needed a replacement home today, which means it's in dire circumstances, it would be 3 years before that would happen, is that correct?
Possibility, maybe 2.
Okay, so 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us find that probably acceptable, because I think that goes to the other Councilman Fulbright's, what I heard, the description of that particular house maybe, well, and it was replaced, but then there were other issues. But if it were a home in really poor condition, where do we put that family or that elder in the meantime would be the next question that would beg for me. So could next week, if the chair and the committee would agree, could we revisit that and ask what the plan is, or kind of how our constituents would view it, to work through that decision-making process and the policies? Because I think that's part of the quandary that we're hearing, or the feedback we're hearing from citizens, is whether it's a replacement home. And I know both of you in particular have had lots of discussions with this individual citizen, and it's taken up considerable time just on my end, let alone what your staff is having to do. And then the other question I have is, on the handout that was given to us, there seems to be a lot of discrepancies. So we have completed applications submitted, and I know it's not to Councilman Thornton's liking by district, but just looking at counties, there's a lot of disparity between whether or not we're able to complete things or not. And I don't know if we also have a large number that are pending from prior years, because it says completed applications submitted, and then versus what we've got completed.
These are per month. These are what were submitted per month. Complete applications per month and completed applications per month.
So I guess as an example, Adair County's at the top. So we've completed 36 of these jobs for rehab, emergency handicap, and lead-based paint, LBP, right?
Yeah.
But I don't have a good indication for Adair County or any county, how many are out there pending, how many people are waiting?
That's not part of the report, but I guess we could make that part of the report.
I think that would help me in understanding where we're at in terms of this program, and how far behind, how many vendors we have. And then I didn't understand maybe the earlier remarks, Mr. Qualls, about that we didn't have Indian preference before. Can you help me understand what that means, that we didn't have it before?
No, we've always had Indian preference.
Okay.
What we've had in the past is also a preference for what HUD terms as Section 3. Section 3, there's Section 3 companies, but generally Section 3 are individuals, low-income individuals living in the area of where we're going to be constructing, or a low-income individual living in a subsidized home. Those individuals qualify as a Section 3 person, and they have a right, previously had a right to bid on projects, and our responsibility was to train those individuals on the bid process and actually assist them with getting a bid. In the past few months, HUD has finally seen the light, I guess I could say, and have figured out that the Section 3 program does not work well with when we are building an individual house. Section 3 generally works when you have public housing, high-rise, and there's constant work and rehab being done to a 500-unit public housing project, and those Section 3 individuals would have a right to work on,
May I just want to make sure I'm hearing you, because okay, so that's fine. So there's been a ruling by HUD, which decomplicates,
yes.
so to speak, our situation. And so we did have Indian preference this whole time. This is nothing new. But now, because we have Indian preference, it's now impacting our ability to subcontract or contract. I was trying to understand what I needed to take away from the dialogue you provided earlier, and I wasn't clear.
We just take away any requirements that we previously had to deal with individuals who were making an application or wanting to bid on our projects. We don't have to deal with those individuals anymore as non-Indians and train them and help them get contracts through us, because we now have the authority technically to give preference to Cherokee Nation contractors that are owned by Cherokees, the companies owned by the Cherokees, and so we can deal exclusively with Indians.
Okay, so all your bids are out on Cherokee Procurement's website, Cherokee Nation's procurement website, right?
Yeah.
And so, and there's still a shortage of contractors, and that's because of Indian preference? I was trying to hear what you said earlier, so I'm asking, is that correct?
I don't think it's because of Indian preference, it's because of not enough Indians, contractors.
Applying, okay. Thank you, I
Okay.
think I understood, thank
Okay.
you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Janelle, I believe I
Yeah.
have you.
I have another question.
You're good, Carrie.
It goes back to the original problem of this house. I know what they told me, I want to know what you tell me. They said the reason they didn't vacate that old mobile home that was in such bad condition was because they had to furnish, that would have been the ideal location to have built a new home. But they would have had to furnish their own trailer or lodgings or something that we had nothing available to put them anywhere. Is that true, or do we furnish something or accommodate them at a rental or anything?
We let them find a place to rent, and we pay the rent, and we pay their utilities. They're responsible. When they move to a rental place, we'll pay their rent. They'll have to pay their utilities, but the contractor's responsible for the utilities where they built the home. So we would have paid for them relocation.
Okay, that's what I want to know, because that's really what should have happened.
Yeah, and we could have.
And I think that decision not necessarily should be left up to the homeowner when the location is so obviously not right to build a house on. So that's, I just wanted clarification. I wanted to know. We would have put them up
Yes, ma'am.
somewhere. I guess people don't want to do it because they don't want to move twice, but it would have been much better for them to have gone to a rental. Okay, thank you. That cleared that up.
Thank you. Dave?
Yes. Ron, I don't know this, and I'm sure you probably do, but with the funding that you receive, how many homes can you build with that funding in 1 year?
Okay, say build.
Or replacement homes?
Yeah, we generally get enough funds to do anywhere from 13 to 15 replacement homes.
And it looks like you have all kinds of applications
Yeah.
completed. And that's 13 or 15 a year?
Yeah.
We're not getting enough money.
Right.
That's what our problem is.
If we allocate more funds to, we're dealing with ASET budget, and so if we allocate more funds from the rehab part to do more replacement homes, then we have a shortage you know.
Short in rehab.
In rehab, yeah. So, yeah, it would be nice to have 3 or 4 times the amount of money that we normally get for replacement homes.
We usually get about $1.3 million in our replacement budget.
Then I don't understand this. Anyway, if you can replace 15 homes a year, and you've got, how many people are on the list waiting to get a house replacement?
There's a little over 60 right now.
60?
And if we went back to our rehab write-ups, which we have around 300 of those applications, and I'm sure 40% of those will be replacement homes.
Well, I'm,
We're 4 years, we're 4 years behind on replacing houses.
We've always been that way. We've never caught up.
Is there any way that we can get additional funding? It's hard just, do they give you funding for so many people or so, how's it go, by population or?
It's a double, it's 2 ways. We get money for just Indians that live within the jurisdiction. It doesn't matter if they're Cherokees or Chickasaws or Choctaws, number of Indians. And then we get money, in addition to just the number of Indians, we get money for families living in substandard housing. We get money for individual families that are paying more than 50% of their income for housing, whether it's rent or whatever. And so and we get money for, more money for each family that's, I'll go this way. If the family's income is 30% and below the national median income, we get a lot of extra money from. If we have families at 50% of the national median income, we get money, but not as much as the very low. It just goes right on up to, all the way up to the 80%. So the funding is based upon the number of Indians and the number of Indian households that are very poor.
We've got a lot of these.
Yes, we do. That's the reason we get close to $28, $29 million a year.
Okay,
Thank you.
got one more.
And Ron, we ramped up after 2011. I think there was money left over from where we built about 50 houses, didn't we?
I think so. There was some money that had never been allocated. And,
There hadn't been replacement homes built for several years, and then that money had accumulated. And so you all built about 50, I believe it was 50, wasn't it?
yeah, it was
50
right at 50,
houses
yes.
in, I guess 12 and 13.
The next year we built 30, and then this year we're
You're caught up
projecting
with the
probably
money?
15 out of it.
Okay. So you're actually, you probably gonna approach somewhere around 100 replacement homes over about the last 3 years, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. It's the same old thing. I mean, if you want to take your housing plan and put more money into replacement homes, but you're taking money out of something else.
Out of rehab.
Mhm.
Yeah, we have 2
So it's
different
whether we
budgets, one
wanna
for
build
rehab.
more replacement homes or do more rehab.
Right.
And the cutoff point is about 35,000 when you evaluate a house.
Yes,
If
ma'am.
it goes over 35,000, then that sticks it in the replacement home
Yes, ma'am.
process. It's nothing that a little money won't fix, but it adds up to a whole lot of money because it's costing y'all, it's costing them about, is it 85 to do a replacement home?
Yeah,
About 85 to do a
3
replacement home.
bedroom.
May I speak?
Huh?
May I speak? In the past.
I will send it over to you
Yield to
now.
me? Okay. I know in the past that this council has put additional funding into rehab. So I don't know if we did that this year, which I don't think we did, or last year, but I know in the past we put quite a bit of funding in.
pass
Yeah.
back. We have put it into rehab, but we've not put it into replacement.
No, we have.
The replacement homes has been totally federally funded, is that correct?
Right.
Always, not just in the last 3 years, but even before that, it's always been federal funding. So we would have to, if you change your formula, you're gonna do less rehab, more replacement. Or you're going to have to figure out how to put some gen fund dollars into the replacement part.
Realistically, though, you know, you could talk to just about any department here, and they'll all tell you that, you know, they need more money. Our situation is, though, folks, this is true. We have families living in deplorable, absolute awful homes. It is awful. And it would be so nice to get those folks out of there into a decent, safe, and sanitary house. The reflection on the mom and dad and the kids getting on the school bus, it just goes right down the line. And some of us here got on those school buses and walked away from our old house that we was living in and got on a school bus. And it's awful. It's awful. I feel for those kids that are in that position. I really do.
Just one more comment though. Ron, if we gave you more money, you could do it any faster than what you're doing it right now. Because you sat here and told us you can't find people to do your work. So let's get caught up with the money we've got, then let's talk about more money. Right now, you're not caught up. I can go show you a house right now in town where you only did 3 sides of it. And I'm still waiting for the back side to get the finish part on it. And the first 3 sides was 6 months ago. So clean up your program you got now and then come back and give us a budget for more money. More money, throwing more money at your program now will not solve your problem. You're behind and you need to get caught up.
We have found, though, that we're more likely to get bids and good bids on new construction when you compare it to rehab. Contractors would prefer, many contractors would prefer bidding on those replacement homes because it's cleaner and it's easier and you're not dealing with a bunch of crap that you're trying to nail to and there's nothing to nail to. And so I really think if we had some funding for replacement homes, we could get those bid out and get contractors to bid on them in a much easier fashion than we are having contractors bid on this rehab that we're doing.
Then come in here and make recommendations of how you're gonna make the adjustment. Are you gonna take money away from rehab in order to do those replacement homes? And what is the likelihood in this market that you're gonna find people to build those homes when right now we're begging for people to build the homes under our new housing program? Y'all are all drawn from the same pot. You come in with a plan. Don't come in just throwing out ideas. Come in with a concrete plan. I mean, that's all I'm asking. Every month you come in and, well, I'm behind because of this, that, and the other. I'm saying come in with a plan. Don't come in with excuses. Come in with a plan next time and let's consider the plan.
I really appreciate that, and that's what we'll do.
I wonder if, Madam Speaker, if we're gonna do that, let's have 2 hours for the next community services meeting.
Well, they owe me a meeting offline too.
Oh, okay. I'm running over into council to walk and
You're right, we
sticks.
still got another hour left before we're good.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks, sir.
Thank you very much.
Gary Cooper is out of town in DC trying to secure some more funding for housing. So we'll catch him twice next time. Michael Lynn.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I know we're running behind schedule. I'll keep my report brief. I think everybody has a copy of my report in your packet. Just to bring everybody up to speed on the projects that we do have under construction. We've got 4 projects in Delaware County, bridge projects on Kenwood Road. We do have the deck poured on one of the bridges. Beams are set on another bridge. The contractor's working on detours on the third bridge, and they're awaiting a water line completion, relocation completion on the 4th project, so we can begin the detour and begin moving on that bridge. We do have a 5th project along the same road in Mays County, across Wycliffe Creek Bridge, and the beams are set on that bridge. The crews are working on getting the wing walls poured, and the deck will be following that shortly thereafter. Last month, I did report that we had held a bid opening on 2 projects, Ross Road in Muskogee County, and then CNI Road, Industrial Access Road in Adair County, south of Stillwell. And we have made an award on Ross Road in Muskogee County. We have not made an award yet on CNI. Those bids are still being evaluated at this time. That is all I have to report, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Who's winning bid on Ross Road?
On Ross Road is Glover and Associates. Glover and Associates out of Muskogee.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any other questions? Harley?
I already discussed this some with Michael Lynn, but it's for the information for the other committee members here. On our road and bridge project, I've noticed last year on my first allocation, it was $7,500 allocated for it. And I was remembering back when I left the council the first time that we were getting an allocation of $15,000 a year. And I was wondering if anybody knows why that went back to $7,500. I asked Michael Lynn, and he said he didn't take it, so. If not, then I'm requesting the $7,500 to be restored to my account starting last year. And that's a solution to not take the $7,000. Was there a resolution to lower the amount, is what I'm asking. And nobody seems to know what. So what I'm indicating, or what I'm requesting, is that I'd like to have the funding back to the $15,000 per year that was allocated for it. And I have that retroactive back to when we started getting the $7,500, which I know was 2 years ago. So if we could have Jody or somebody to research that for me, I would appreciate it.
I think we'll request Jody to research that, and Shelley, if you could follow up kind of behind him on legislation if we pass something. That'd be okay, Harley? Thank you, sir. Oh, Janelle, did you have a question?
I was just pointing to David Watt.
Okay. What do you do now?
What I do now?
I said you could answer his question.
That's road, he's saying bridge and road access, that's access to properties and roads and going into people's homes that are in bad shape, and that's a different situation than what it was a few years back. And we added that 75 on there to help our people that the road in such bad shape that they couldn't get in or out hardly. And that's the reason it was 7.5. The 15, I don't remember the 15.
Yeah, the 15 was passed back, Bill
It
John
must
Baker
have
did
been-
that back in, I think, at '09 or.
It must have been for, I don't know what it was for. They'll have to research it. I know what 75 for, because, my gosh, I've had roads so bad that they couldn't get in. I got one right now that's a half a mile, but there's no way they can get in. It's all private road, and it's terrible. I mean, terrible shape. And we're gonna have to do something to it.
And so is it a
That'll be covered in that 75.
Yeah, and I don't remember what the exact policies were at the time, but to me it stands to reason that if a person can't get into a driveway, then you can certainly put a tin horn or a pipe in it, because
Yeah,
that's part of a roadway and part of a bridge structure.
That's what it's for.
And Michael can attest on, when we build bridges, we repair the road up to 1,500 feet on each side of the road, the bridge. So those are some lenience for it, but we just have to look at the policy. I'm not sure how it passed this time.
Yeah.
I'd certainly think the tin horn would fall into that category.
It'll help. It helps. It'll people. Gotta get to your home. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't see this one.
Any other questions? Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Anna? She's hustling on down.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I hope you have a copy of our report this month. I think you do. And I do just want to highlight real quickly, I know you're running late, is that MAP is remaining fairly steady. Usually we have a very slow season in the winter for MAP, but it's remaining steady. So the popularity continues to grow for MAP. Also, we're right in the middle of tax season. We're starting the VITA programs, and we'll be starting to prepare tax returns in the coming weeks at various sites. And I think that schedule's already been published. We will have to change probably the Stillwell date, but otherwise it should be fairly set. And then with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, we are in the top 20 to be selected for an award. There were 160 applicants across the country, and they will be starting here about the second week in March. And they'll spend 2 days in Stillwell and 3 days in Tahlequah. They will be performing long-term counseling. In addition to these 20 sites that they've selected geographically, they've also set up 40 sites for transitioning veterans, which is a good thing, and we're working on getting a list right now as to where those veterans counselors are gonna be. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Lee?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Your report was colorful, as I come to expect this month. But we did talk offline, and I am happy with your math program, and you're really doing real good things with that, you and your staff. My only question was on the workshops coming out for home buyers. I guess you'll advertise that, but what kind of, what do the potential attendees need to have ready for that, if anything? What should their expectations be?
Basically, in that class, that is the mandatory training class that we require them all to go through. And we hold it in areas depending on where the applicants are based on their readiness to purchase a home. But from there, they'll learn all about the mortgage, how to choose a house, how to choose a mortgage product. And then they'll receive some household budgeting that'll kind of carry them through the home ownership process. It's through this training and our newsletters that we send out with budgeting tips that we try to make the connection with them to contact us if they have problems once they get the home, so that we can try to help them in an early stage.
So the workshop and classes, that's for the MAP?
It's for the MAP people.
Okay.
Others can attend, but it's directed towards the MAP folks.
And the ones that opt out or withdraw, it's not because of the program, it's just because their circumstances change for the most part, right?
Typically, and that the voluntary withdrawals from MAP, sometimes part of that is the people that go into the long-term self-sufficiency counseling, and they don't stick with it. They just either can't, or it's not something that they're willing to do at this certain point in their life. So that's what a lot of it is. They can't obtain a mortgage, and they're not able to put the work into cleaning up their credit or reducing their debt. On the other hand, the self-sufficiency counselors have been able to increase people's credit scores by an average of almost 30 points, which is a lot, and they do a really good job doing that. And so the people that are continuing and graduating are accomplishing a lot. They're getting a lot of work done, and the counselors do a terrific job with them.
Mhm. Well, you've got, in your program alone, 50 homes built, right? Almost.
With the, yeah.
Yeah, 184.
Yeah, with
Yeah,
184,
so-
they could be purchasing it, and, yeah,
So that's really good.
yeah.
Yeah. Good job. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
Good report. In old business, Ms. Watts and I have discussed, she's going to hold that over for next month and promises some information at that time. Okay. And so, any announcements?
on that matter you're holding over, Kara, should we maybe share this with, we do have one legal opinion on that issue that you've got on the agenda. Do you want to, should we send this out to the rest
Yes,
of the council?
please do. I had to seek outside assistance in order to try to bring issue to light just for consideration. And I think the chair is trying to lead us down a path to close the meeting due to time constraints, but just briefly, there was a family with trust property, restricted trust property that had no choice in taking it out of restricted status in order to receive a home, and they were concerned about that. And the feedback I tend to get from this council as a body is none of us want to lose trust property. So I wanted to make sure and raise the issue and see what we could provide. The federal regs say something different than what that legal opinion says. So I just want to lay out all the stuff on the table and see if we can come to any kind of consensus together. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
But I think you're going to just bring it all together and collate it for us and have it.
Yep.
Okay, next time.
Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
reminding me. I'd forgotten about that legal opinion, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Todd. Any announcements? Okay. We're set. All in favor of adjournment? Like a motion for adjournment?
Make a motion, adjourn.
And we'll do a motion in a second, and all in favor say aye.